Peterbot is the best solo clutcher in Fortnite's history, and he arguably just completed the best ever year we've seen in the game's life so far. With a second place finish in Major 1, back-to-back FNCS wins on NA Central in Major 2 and 3, and finishing the year off with a Global Championship win as well, with two of the best solo clutches we've ever seen. I'm going to be breaking down every small tip, trick, and strategy I saw Peterbot use so you guys can learn from, and you're going to be implementing if you want to get better at solo clutching, doing better in solo cash cups, or just becoming better as an overall player. Please leave a like and let's get started. So just before we get to the solo clutch right here, Peterbot and Poyo have to rotate into zone, and what they're trying to do is find the correct timing to go. So any of you guys do not know how to rotate correctly, all you need to do is find the nice timing that's going to allow you to have a free rotate. And what they're listening and looking out for here is somebody next to them getting cracked and getting box full, which is going to distract the other players. So right here, as you can see, Shalom nearby gets cracked, and people are going to start spraying him, which allows Peterbot and Poyo to rotate completely for free. Another very nice thing that they do is they hug build. So rather than going in the open as they go ahead and use their fizz, they hug close to people's walls, making it much harder to get shot from different angles. Then where are they going to land as they do their rotate? And you might be thinking, should they end up on congested sides? Should they try to take height early? Or should they potentially try to get towards the dead side of zone right here, where they could maybe refarm their mats? But instead, they actually choose the best spot possible, which is in the exact center of zone on a high layer. In a no mobility meta, so fizz meta only, being on a high layer is so important. And as you can see, the spot they're in right now gives them so many different angles that they can shoot from, they can potentially get a refresh from, and a lot of kill potential as well. Now, immediately upon doing this rotate right here and getting themselves into this really position, Peterbot and Poyo start doing their trademarked playstyle, which is being super active, right? They're constantly looking for things, they're constantly being proactive rather than just waiting for things to happen, and this allows these guys to get so many kills. The first thing that I really like that they do is they just use some armored walls as soon as they get sprayed. Rather than wasting mats, rather than getting pre-edited or getting dropped down or something, they just do an armored wall as well as an armored floor down below to make sure they're completely safe and secure in this box. The next play that Peterbot does that is really nice is he's trying to find a weak team, but while he's doing this, look what he does. He builds an extra peak box to block off all of the angles, and you guys need to get in the muscle memory of doing this. Whenever you're spraying a team, whenever you're trying to kill a team, block their angles, because you never know when Queasy and Thomas is sitting right next to you, and you never know if these guys are going to open edit and maybe like insta 200-0 one of you while you're spraying and getting distracted. So as you can see, does that nice peak box, and the key thing that he does here is he's waiting for a good timing, exactly like that rotate that I was just talking about, waiting for somebody nearby to get cracked. He waits for this low ground team to shoot their shotguns, and now he knows they're distracted, and he also, because they're building on wood, knows they're shambles. Such an important rule, guys. If you need a refresh, don't look at the stacked team building metal and, you know, has armored walls and there's lots of mats and there's a lot of space. Instead, look for the shambles teams. And that's exactly what he does. He takes out Veno, and then Poyo hits a nice shot onto Clicks. And this might not look like the most impactful play of all time. They wasted a bit of heals right there. But taking out one of the best teams in the lobby, as well as going ahead and just allowing themselves a free rotate so they're not getting shot in the back by Shambles team, is so important. And the last really nice play with that is they don't jump down and claim the loot. It's so important you guys do learn the difference between risk and reward. Right there, jumping down on that loot would easily get the box full by another team. It would mean they're in a worse position for this rotate. So instead, they just take out one of the best teams in the lobby. They sit in this box right here, get themselves back up to full HP, and now they've got a perfect rotate. And another extremely nice play that they do in a second is they look front side for kills. You guys need to start doing this if you want to get more kills in duo endgames. Instead of looking backside and holding teams, you know, rotating out of their box, instead look for teams rotating with fizz ahead of you. Look for players boxing up in the middle of zone while they're completely isolated to get a kill on. It's exactly what Peterbot does right there. He takes out Rise and he immediately goes and claims the loot. This right here, though, is where disaster strikes. Peterbot ends up underneath his stair. Poyo ends up slightly split, and he goes down to a solo right there, as you can see. And it is all left up to Peterbot's clutch. He does the correct thing, which is getting the body out the box, so he gets a little bit of mats back and gets a med kit. But now he has to clutch this entire game out. And I don't want to exaggerate when I say this, but I think this is one of the best solo clutches we've ever seen in Fortnite. And genuinely, I think this is the best endgame we've ever seen in Fortnite. Like, it was genuinely such a good endgame, and I'm going to break it down all for you guys so you can learn everything that you possibly can. And also, just quickly, just to mention, Peterbot does not have the scan coin. Everybody thought he had the scan coin in this endgame just because of how good his awareness is. But as you can see, he was not able to grab it because Poyo died with it, and his other team was able to grab it. And he has to do this entire clutch, as you can see right here, with only 15 fizz, one medkit, which he ended up using, and only 400 mats. And he was able to win this game versus some of the best competition we've ever seen in Fortnite. So let's break down exactly how he did it, And if you guys are enjoying this sort of content, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new as well. So to start this clutch off with, Peterbot goes ahead and uses his entire fizz. And you guys might actually think this is a mistake, wasting his fizz when he could use it for a rotate next zone, but he knows that he needs to force a kill. Whenever you're solo clutching, whether it's in solos or duos, you always need to go ahead and force a kill early or try to look for a kill early rather than delaying it too late, which is exactly what he's going to do here. So he gets himself as healthy as possible and then take a look at how he actually gets this kill. There's a couple very nice things about it. The first thing that he's doing is he's not going for a kill from backside of zone. Instead, he's going towards the front side. So he's actually in the end of zone right here as he does this fizz jump, and he's doing it in a way that he's going back on a team. So let me explain this a little bit further. So what he's doing, going back on a team as they tarp towards him, and then just take a look at this piece control that he does. And this is on literally one of the best fighting teams in the world, and he instantly kills one of them, as you can see. He gets to bang onto T right here, and then look at this extended stare he gets in the box to actually block him off from moving, as well as block his teammate off. And then, of course, the stare in the box to get the control, and the wall in between. You guys need to practice your extended piece control. Just little stairs in like this saves him from having Chap jump on him and trying to save Teeny, and allows Peterbot to get the insta-kill onto Teeny right there. And of course, he throws the body back, resets the wall, and goes ahead and makes space as soon as he gets this kill. So you can see he builds a hard map box, and now he's going to start scouting out. And again, whenever you're in solos, whenever you're just, in an end game, you've got to rotate your box while you're healing up. He's reloading, looking around the entire time, checking he's got all the loot, and he's making sure he's scouting every possible rotate out of this box to make sure he's not getting awareness checked, not getting looked at by your duo. As you can see, while he's popping his fizz right here, he's listening for audio cues, he's making sure other players are rotating past, and of course, since he knows there's somebody above him, based on what that guy just died, that allows him to block his head, be completely safe, not take any damage during this rotate. And he does a very nice technique that you guys can learn from right here, which is placing a flat and then placing a stare over your head straight away. So just like this, as you can see, and it allows him to basically do a little EJ dash and get completely to forwards front side, blocking himself off from the teams nearby, as well as not getting shot by height. And of course, once he gets to front side, what does he do? He makes a whole load of boxes, especially making sure to make this end box in metal. If you guys have hard mats, you should always be trying to use them at the end of zone, so where zone is pulling to, because it allows you a little bit of freedom if people start pressuring you. You've got a hard mat box that you can drop down into. Now, as Peterbot gets towards the front side of zone here, he knows that he's going to be a target, because all these pros don't want to just fight another duo and get a refresh that late. They want to be looking for the solos, and Peterbot knows he is going to be a massive victim in this situation, and this is when he does some really smart plays that you guys can learn from. The first thing is he spots Reap coming over to his wall, as well as Ritual getting ready to spray him from distance, and he does this insta-wide edit. And you might think this isn't the best edit to do in this situation, leaves him very exposed, but if you take a look at his movement, he's actually moved to the left, got completely behind the peak, which means that Ritual can't actually see him at all in this situation, and also allows him a perfect right-hand peek onto Reap. And of course, gets a nice shot right there, holds the wall straight after, and as soon as Reap runs back to the box to survive, he pressures them, makes sure these guys are no longer looking at him, and forces them into using an armored. Now, as another team starts pressuring him, they heard the shots, they know that it's potential refresh opportunity, and they get the cone in the box. Take a look at how Peterbot plays this. As you can see, knows that they've got the cone in the box. He instantly breaks it, and this is so smart. He doesn't replace it. He doesn't try to do a stare or a cone, because people could easily just stand up and phase through that build. And he also doesn't even place a wall just yet. Look what he does. He just breaks the cone and does a shot in return. He knows he has to alleviate some pressure and get some damage back onto this team, and then he uses his armored, and he takes the time to go ahead and heal up with a fizz and begin scouting out his rotate. Exact same as before. He's looking all around, doing a 360 before he leaves his box. And I actually really like this rotate choice right here. He's not completely sure what's above him. There's a player up on that tarp right there. Maybe Hype could be looking at him. He's also not sure about this left-hand side right here. The edits aren't his and things. So what he does, very smartly, is he goes through the center of zone, which might look very risky. But if you remember just a second ago, he actually hit Reet and Ritual for a lot of damage. So these guys are now going to be distracted and, healing up or busy on that backside of zone. That allows him a completely free rotate, no damage taken, down towards front side, and he does this really nice armored floor on top of his head. Again, really simple stuff, but just making sure that you're using armored walls nice and early so this team can't just, get his cone and then start insta-replacing on him. It allows him a bit of safety, allows him to reload his gun, and he's constantly looking around for a refresh in this situation right here. Whenever you're front side guys, you need to be looking for a refresh opportunity, even if you're a solo. Now, when it comes to going for this kill, Peterbot does this really effectively. He's not forcing a refresh, as you can see. He's not actually trying to replace, he's not wasting materials. Instead, all he's doing is being in a good spot to get a refresh. So front side, down on low ground, he's got a lot of angles and edits that he can use to look for a kill, as well he's protected while he's doing this. So he's not going to get awareness checked by a duo. He's pressuring Booger right there, and then he gets this very nice audio cue that sort of saves his game, which is Victor V down on low ground. And again, this is all without the scan coin. He only got this audio cue because somebody else is down on low ground, which is why low ground is such a good place to get refreshes, because the footsteps of somebody on the grass or the ground or the water in this case is so much louder compared to somebody in a tarp nearby, and that allows him to get this kill. And then take a look at how he actually capitalizes on this. Really basic stuff. I've been saying this like 5 years now. Cover your angles when you get loot, hold out your pickaxe, and very quickly he grabs all the cipher materials. And I love this next action. He opens his edit to scout out his next rotate while popping the fizz. Might seem a little bit risky, but he knows because he's already frontside, there's nobody actually ahead of him that can really shoot him at this point in time. And this allows him to perfectly rotate into where the next zone is pulling. So as zone swaps, he gets into frontside. And I really like this choice. He does a 2x1, so he invests a lot of materials compared to everybody else who's just sitting, you know, in single boxes and things like that. At this point in time, when they're trying to solo clutch, he invests a little bit of materials, pre-armors his head, so now he doesn't have to worry about height, he doesn't have to be getting looked at all by other players, and allows him to scout out and look for his next refresh right here. And this next refresh, I would say he gets blessed on, right? Somebody's trying to jump into his box, he does the correct thing, which is not taking the 50-50. Instead, what he does, nice patience, is he waits for the player to turn their back while he's editing, very quickly hits that shot, knows the stairs low HP, and he takes him out with the AUG spray rather than wasting his gatekeeper bullets. And again, exact same muscle memory as early. Look what he does. He grabs all the materials, he builds a 2x1, he does armored on his head, and then immediately starts healing up and trying to scout. Guys, solo clutching, I know Peterbot is very good at it, but it is very basic stuff that he's doing right here, but he's doing it so flawlessly. And this is when he gets the absolute game-winning moment right here. He's scouting out again, playing, using his armor nice and early, and he spots this perfect timing opportunity. Two players fighting down on low ground, he gets the piece, and he gets all of the loot, as well as the scan coin. So let's talk about how he plays now with the scan coin and the scan revealed on everybody. So now, with the scan medallion, I actually really like how Peterbot plays this part of the clutch in particular. He just takes a second and just pops a mini and just has a little bit of a breather. Kind of basic stuff, but again, all he is doing is figuring out where the other players are around him. So in this case, he knows there's a duo up on height. He's been aware of that the whole game, as well as there's a duo, Queasy and Thomas, on low ground next to him. So what he does is focus on the easiest likely player to take out, and that's also going to give him a whole load of extra points at this point, because it would give him top 3 as well as, you know, an extra elim. So he tries to look for Booger backside, but he doesn't get greedy going for that kill, right? He knows the other solo could actually help him, you know, in this clutch. So he's not trying to force that kill just yet, as you can see. Instead, after looking backside, trying to get a free kill, he now prioritizes getting himself as healthy as possible. And this is when he decides to focus on the other duo. Thomas and Queasy just did a crazy height take right there. They took out the other height duo and took height, but it left Thomas with very low builds, and he gets caught not up on high ground. And Peterbot's able to use this to his advantage and take him out. So you can see, crazy quick double edit. He tracks him absolutely perfectly with the visual audio right there. Pretty sure the scan had run off at this point, but he might have still had the scan on him and knew where he was. And that allows him to get a whole load of materials. And then just quickly, guys, take a look at how stacked this clutch is. This is what I mean when I said best game of all time. Queasy up on high ground, of course he is. Booger down on low ground with 10 HP doing an insane solo clutch, like literally an insane solo clutch. This got these guys a lot of points, as well as Peterbot down on low ground with 7 kills. Absolutely insane stuff. Now at this point in time, all Peterbot needs to do is just take his time and let the other players fight, which is exactly what he does. He does the armor top on himself so he's not getting looked at by height, exactly like he's been doing this whole clutch. And then he reloads his guns and he lets Queasy do the hard work by taking out Booger, as you can see. Now, what Peterbot does is grab all the extra materials in the builds, and he's left in this 1v1 situation with only 6 builds, as you can see, and Queasy's up on height with 0 builds. So how does he win this despite the health disadvantage? The first thing that I really like he does is he does these bait out floors towards front side, sort of blocking his angles. And as you can see, Queasy gets sort of concerned about where he's going to be going to, and it allows Peterbot to set up this really nice peek as Queasy was moving around above him. There's a single floor tile, not exposing himself too much, not being, you know, super open where he can get shot in return, and it allows him to hit that initial shot. And now it comes down to this 50-50 shot, as you can see here. And just take a look at how Peterbot's movement allowed him to win this 1v1. I'll slow it down for a second. So you can see he's down on low ground. Queasy knows exactly where he is. Peterbot's got no more builds remaining. And take a look at what he does. He jumps into the peak, and that means that Queasy's pre-aiming the wrong spot. Genuinely such a micro thing right there. Rather than just right hand peeking into it, he jumps straight into the peak, and that means from Queasy's POV, it's basically impossible for him to hit that shot. So let's watch it back real quick. Knows he's in a 1v1, blocks all of his angles, does the little insta small tile edit, gets a crack shot off right there, and now in the 1v1 he has the right hand peek advantage and he jumps into it, making it much harder for Queasy to pre-fire the shot as he jumps down, and he wins the 1v1. Genuinely insane clutch. Let's get into the next game. If you guys are watching this video and you don't already have the solos masterclass, then you are missing out massively. We just dropped the 6.0 update and there's over 15 new videos that you guys can learn from myself and Resub, as well as a couple pro players. And the stuff that we've put inside these videos has already helped over 15 different players make earnings already in the very first cash cup of the season. I'd really recommend you guys check it out. It's only $30. It's a massive investment if you want to get better at the game, and it's going to be the best thing for getting earnings in this game. Over 800 people have already used it to make their first earnings. Go check it out down below, and let's get back to Peterbot's second clutch. Now, before we get into this next clutch, I want to give you guys some extra context about this endgame. At this point in time, as you can see, Peterbot and Poyo are both still alive. However, they just had 2 dud games back to back, and Queasy, who's still alive solo clutching, which these guys knew, had overtaken them on the leaderboard. So Queasy and Thomas were in first place, and this clutch meant an insane amount at this point because it decided who was going to be holding the lead going into the last few games of the tournament. And as you can see, Poyo goes down, and it's all left up to Peterbot to clutch. So let's break it down in as much detail as possible. So because we're a lot later into the game during this clutch, Peterbot is fully focused on staying as frontside as possible, and then looking back and looking around on the edit that he controls to get kills. So let's take a look at how he does this. First thing he does is this very simple 2x1 technique. What you do is just build a 2x1, but instead of having a cone and a wall right here, you just have a stair. Saves a little bit of materials, something that Tayson made very popular and he did really well, and Peterbot does the exact same thing right here. However, he doesn't rush going for this refresh. He doesn't rush just into the fight. Instead, he spots that Trulex and Chico are trying to fight him, so he just covers his angles, and then he aggroes the solo. And I really like his decision to play the range versus the solo, because of course, even though he's got mats and things like here, he doesn't want to take damage while he's taking his fight out. So he shotgun breaks that stair right there, waits for Teeny to jump back in, and then catches him on the left-hand peak. Whenever somebody's got a left-hand peak, you always want to make sure that you're not trying to trade because of desync and things like that. Even on land, it can happen. So Peterbot does a really good job of blocking the shot when the guy's on the left-hand peak. Teeny again, same player as earlier, and what he does instead is do a wide edit as Teeny is jumping into the box. So as Teeny's crosshairs ended up down below, Peterbot does this wide open edit, allows himself an easy shot, and he very quickly grabs all the materials. He doesn't faff around picking up anything extra. He missed the brick, he missed the fizz, but he doesn't faff around backside. Instead, he's going to be prioritizing getting front side again, which is so important during this final zone situation. Now at this point in time, Peterbot doesn't have enough materials to just fully tarp, so he does this very nice cheap tarp that I like, as you can see right here, where he's not actually doing walls in front of him the entire time. Instead, he's just claiming a bunch of space. He's leaving some angles open where he knows there's not players, and he's using the visual audio cues of people stomping around on his head, as well as, you know, just the visual audio direction to get this kill onto Queasy right there. As you can see, gets all the materials very quickly, and then he does this really smart play. Knowing he's only really got Scythe and mats, he doesn't sit on the backside of his own and tarp forward. Instead, he catches a free timing to sprint towards front side, knowing that this is going to give him a long time window to look for a kill, and this is exactly what happens. Trulex is knocked outside of his box, he full boxes the body, gets everything, gets the fizz as well, and now he's able to continue tarping on with that mat advantage. Genuinely, this clutch was so much more simple than the other one, so I'm doing it second, because all he had to do was just keep on chaining refreshes together by going front side as much as possible, and he's very patient with his edits. As you can see, he's not rushing his edits. Instead, he's baiting out his fizz, waiting for the players to turn face in the other direction, and then he uses that into getting his kill. One thing you'll notice, at no point during this entire clutch so far has he traded a shot with another opponent, which is so crucial. Gets a double refresh right there, doesn't trade a shot with that player right there, and then instead layers up. He's got loads of materials at this point in time, and he's going to play this nice and slow. And I really like the angle that he does for this next elim. Now we're left into this 1v1v1 situation, and of course Peterbot does everything perfect at this point in time. First thing he does is reload his guns, baits out that he's going to pop a fizz, and this allows him to catch a nice timing onto Pars down on low ground. He knows Pars has got no mats, but even then, as you can see, he doesn't trade any damage. He knows all of his HP is so important at this point in time. He does the bait out play with the fizz, allows him to do a very smart edit, and look how hard of a shot that is for Pars to hit, and then does the jump peek straight into the kill right there to take the other player out. Now, what he does again is pop a fizz, and he immediately takes the fight straight up onto high ground. At this point in time, he doesn't actually have the scan on Jukes, right? The scan hasn't actually popped yet, and he plays this 1v1 extremely well. The first thing that I like that he does is he trades a shot just to sort of get a gauge of Is Duke super low HP? Is, you know, cancel whatever he's doing, see how he's playing. He trades his first shot this endgame, which was right here. There's a jumping peak and Duke hits a very nice shot as Peterbot jumps up. But that jump shot and the trade allows Peter to get high ground. And then take a look at how he follows this up with the second peak. He does the third person using the camera angle, making sure he's doing a right peak as well. And he spots that Jukes isn't looking at him. It's really important, guys. The entire endgame right here, Peterbot hasn't really been editing on people when they're looking at him. It allows him to do a free jump shot right there, and then immediately following up, he knows Jukes is sprinting around. He knows there's low whites most likely because he was popping a mid up on height, and he peeks straight into him. He doesn't delay the peek. He knows Jukes is in a flustered situation. Doesn't want to let him, you know, stabilize on low ground and start aim shooting back at him, and he instantly peeks straight into Jukes and takes him out. Absolute crazy set of clutches from Peterbot. I personally think this is, you know, one of the best individual performances you've ever seen. Definitely the best year we've ever seen from a player. And let me know in the comments if you guys think Peterbot is the GOAT of Fortnite or not. Genuinely some crazy solo clutches. I hope you enjoyed my analysis on that. Again, if we hit 2k likes on this video, I will do a full Poyo in-depth analysis into why he's such a good support player, why his playstyle is absolutely perfect, and I appreciate you guys watching the video.